Hey there, this is Tom with TomJohnston.org, and in today's video I'm going to talk about why you should focus on financial independence rather than early retirement. First, a couple of quick stories. My grandfather was a small businessman in Ohio, rural Ohio, and he did pretty well. He never went to college, but he built a business and owned a couple of businesses, was reasonably successful. And then in the 1970s, the government changed the rules that regulated his business. And as a smaller entrepreneur businessman, he was not able to adapt his business to meet these regulations. It would have just been way too expensive, so he had to sell out. So in his mid-60s, he retired. And unfortunately for all of us, and my grandfather in particular, this meant he went from a man who was very dynamic, very involved, engaged with the world, to just sort of hanging out, sitting in his chair, drinking and eating. And within a couple of years, unfortunately, he passed away because it was such a radical lifestyle change and a less healthy lifestyle. I've seen other members of my family who retired at a relatively young age, and they just never really found their mojo after that. They really didn't have a sense of purpose, a sense of what it was that got them to get up every day. And, from watching this, and especially in the modern world where people are living so much longer and so much more healthily, I do not think that actually retirement is really the goal that you should shoot for. Also, on the internet, we're often seeing this hyping of early retirement where you're going to kick back with a pina colada on the beach. And again, I do not think that most people are happy with that. Yes, if you reach financial independence, take some time off, recharge the batteries, few months, 6 months, a year, longer if you need it and want it. But I'm telling you, for most of us, we're not going to be happy just being idle. One other quick example, look at the idle rich, the people who maybe inherited large amounts of money. I've actually known a few of these people, and honestly, they can take the simplest thing and make it into a gigantic problem. And I think it's because they simply don't have a sense of purpose, a vector or trajectory that's really driving them and keeping them excited and focused and giving back to the community and engaged with people beyond just their own specific individual needs. So for me, I started investing at 19. I was always attracted by the autonomy of financial independence, being able to do what I want, when I want, but I have not focused on simply escaping responsibility and escaping just being productive. I think we're happiest when we're productive. So that's why my message to you is focus on financial independence if that's an interest, but don't fall victim to the siren song of early independence. I really think if your goal in life is simply early retirement, if you manage to achieve it, you will find that the absence of that goal can leave quite a vacuum and you'll need something else to create meaning. So again, for me, roughly early 40s, got to an area of basic financial independence. This meant a pivot to something much more entrepreneurial, something with greater autonomy, where I don't have bosses whose agenda I don't agree with, and I don't have employees that sometimes are challenging. There's a couple of role models that I would highlight for myself that I, would like to be like as I get older. And the first is the famous Warren Buffett, of course, the most successful investor of the 20th century. This guy, at the time of this recording, is still kicking in his mid-80s, investing, doing what he does, doing what he loves, being part of society, giving back in his own way. In fact, he's giving all of his wealth away, basically, or nearly all of it. And I think this guy's probably really excited every day. In fact, I think there's a book that he published called Tap Dancing to Work, or that he was involved in, that's just about being excited to do what you do. Another one that's maybe a little bit off the radar, a little bit more, is the famous British writer William Somerset Maugham. He wrote in the first half, basically, of the 20th century and was, for a while, arguably the most successful English-speaking writer in the world. And he just kept on producing. This guy was super, super successful, probably the best paid writer of his day for a while. But nonetheless, deep into his 80s, late 80s, maybe even 90s, although I'm not sure about that, this guy was doing his art, creating writing more books, and very engaged. And for me, well, I do recognize that people slow down as they get older inevitably, and I'm not advocating this like hard charging life forever at all. But I am saying that as we approach retirement or financial independence, the goal should be to stay engaged, stay productive, be giving back, be interacting with people, all of those things, because it keeps you alive, keeps you young, awake, engage with new ideas. It keeps you from potentially getting embittered. That's the other thing you find when people retire sometimes is they just sort of drift into this hunkered down mentality where every new change in the world is annoying and not as good, and it's really just a reaction to life. And I think if you stay engaged, dealing with all walks of life, we'll be much happier. So that's it. We'll keep it short and sweet. Focus on financial independence if that's something you're interested in, rather than very early retirement. But yes, the autonomy is fantastic, and go for it. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like here on YouTube. That helps me get the word out to other people. You feel free to subscribe to my series of videos, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.